You know that feeling when something rises in your chest, something true you want to say to someone, and instead of letting it out, you push it back down? It happens more often than anyone admits. You tell yourself you'll say it later, when the moment is right, when you have the perfect words. Almost everyone does this. And almost everyone is sure that later will come. It makes sense to wait. The feeling is big, and the moment feels too small to hold it. You don't want to say it wrong. You want the words to carry the full weight of what's inside you, so you hold them back until you can do them justice. Waiting feels like care, like you're protecting something precious by saving it for the right time. But the moments don't arrange themselves the way you hope. The perfect words don't arrive on schedule. And later has a way of quietly becoming never. There was a woman named Hazel who lived in a white clapboard house in Brattleboro, Vermont, for 62 years. She raised 3 children there. She buried her husband there. She grew tomatoes in the backyard and sent birthday cards to everyone she knew, right on time, every single year. At 93, she still sat in that same house, in the same chair by the window. Her granddaughter had come to visit with a school project, recording family stories, and her question was simple. "Grandma, if you could live your whole life over again, what would you do differently?" Hazel laughed. A short, quick laugh, like the answer had been sitting in her mouth for decades. "Well, that's easy," she said. Her granddaughter expected something about traveling, maybe, or going back to school, or some chance she'd been too cautious to take. Hazel said, "I would have said the things I felt." Then she reached into the drawer beside her chair and pulled out a stack of letters, tied together with kitchen twine. Letters to her husband. Letters to each of her children. Letters to her older sister Ruth, who had died 7 years before. She'd written them over decades, honest, tender letters, full of the things she actually felt about the people she loved most. She had never sent a single one. When Ruth died, Hazel found the letter she'd written her. The one that said, "You were always the one I looked up to. You were always enough." Ruth had spent her whole life believing she was the less loved daughter, the one who didn't quite measure up. The letter that held the exact words Ruth needed, those exact words, was still in the drawer. Hazel looked at her granddaughter and said, very quietly, "I thought there would be a right time. There isn't one." What Hazel saw at 93 was something she could not undo. She had written the words. She had felt every bit of it, the love, the gratitude, the ache of being human beside other humans. She had done everything except the one thing that mattered. She had kept it all to herself. The people she loved most walked through their whole lives without knowing the full weight of what they meant to her. She was waiting for a moment that would never have felt right enough. Those letters in that drawer were her deepest self, folded up and hidden away, year after year after year. They were full of everything. And they were full of nothing, because no one read them. If you are young, listen carefully. When your friend shares something real with you, and you feel that warm rush of gratitude, say it right then. You do not need to rehearse. You do not need the perfect sentence. "That really meant a lot to me," is never the wrong thing to say. The chance to tell someone what they mean to you is smaller than you think, and it is always worth taking. You have what Hazel wished she'd had, time still in front of you. It does not get easier as you get older. The feelings do not shrink. The words do not arrange themselves more neatly just because you've lived longer. A 40-year-old swallows the same words a 10-year-old does. The only difference is practice at keeping quiet. Whether you are 9 or 90, the thing you wish you had said and the thing you actually said are separated by almost nothing. A breath. A little bit of courage. Those letters in Hazel's drawer were probably beautiful. They were probably full of grace and tenderness and all the things that matter most between people. But no one will ever be warmed by them, because a letter that is never given is just paper with feelings locked inside. Say the thing you feel. Say it imperfectly, say it scared, say it clumsy and too soon and all at once. But say it now. The right moment is the one you're in. Later is not a promise. It is only a guess.